Welcome back to Forester Asks Questions. I'm Tom Coates, I'm a chartered forester and I'm out on site today in a very typical Northumbrian November day where the rain's beating down and it's a real test of the resolve for anybody who's got the pleasure of working outside. I'm going to be meeting up with Neil Stoddart, who many of you will know in the forest industry in the UK. He's a bit of a supply chain specialist. He's down in the area and he's agreed to meet up with me just to talk about things like issues in forestry at the moment, some of the challenges, but also give his perspective on the future of forestry in the UK and some of the innovation and innovative projects that he's been involved with. I'm hoping to ask him a few questions about that. So if you have any questions or you perhaps got any feedback on the Forest Ask Questions series, please feel free to leave them in the comments and enjoy this episode. So today I've met up with Neil Stoddart from Creel Maritime. Many of you will probably know Neil from the industry and his social media activity, and he's obviously well known for being a bit of a supply chain guru when it comes to moving timber. So I thought it's a great opportunity just to talk to Neil about some of the issues that we're facing in the industry at the moment, some of the issues around public perception, and sort of his take on what there is to be optimistic about for forestry in the future in the UK. So thanks for meeting up with me today,
No
Neil.
problem, Tom. No problem. Always good to see you.
And I'd like to just start off by sort of asking a little bit about Creel Maritime and your career in forestry.
Yeah, sure. So I think I'm now coming up to 30 plus years graduated. I left school in 89 at 16 to go into forestry. I started my first job not far from here at Otterburn. And I found it a great industry to be in. I've been mainly in harvesting in the last 10 years, kind of specialising in shipping and some of the more complicated logistics. I've been 6 years out now on my own as Creel Maritime Limited.
Okay. And so you said you've been in for 30 years, and what's your career sort of tracked like through that 30 years?
Well, seen a lot of ups and downs, and obviously there's a lot of talk at the moment about high roadside stocks and everyone's in the doldrums a little bit. And I think as many of us have been in the industry, managers and contractors, we've seen the ups and downs, although probably a little bit more acute. We'll come on to that later at the moment. But obviously seen a lot of changes. I started out on a power saw in a squad of 10 men, as many of us did. And now it's all mechanised, and the pressure and the costs and the expenses involved are much, much higher. The industry's become much more professional, but still a great industry to be in, always has been.
So what do you think at the moment are the sort of key challenges that are sort of facing the industry in the UK?
I think you touched on it earlier. We're currently facing, and again, maybe always have, faced this battle of perception. So we seem to have this argument brewing of broadleaves are good, conifers are bad. As those of us close to the coalface know, we're all trying to work within UCWAS regulations. We're heavily regulated in terms of felling licenses. Like myself, most of us in this are all passionate about forestry. We want to do the right thing. And I'm not sure whether the perception thing is really Joe Bloggs or whether it is the people who are involved in the regulations and maybe more in the environmental side of things. They seem to have a louder voice than us. So that is an ongoing problem. We've got to stand up for ourselves. We've got such a great industry. I feel passionately, strongly that we're the original renewable industry. I mean, we're growing these logs. You said earlier these were planted in 85. What a great news story. We're locking up carbon. We're replanting. We're going to do it again, as David said the other day. It really is a good news story, and how we don't get that across, I'm not sure. But we seem to be failing on that, so that's a challenge for sure. I think other challenges ongoing, and without wanting to beat the drum, new entrants, very hard. It's a tough industry to work in at this end. Long hours, challenging, lonely. It's not a great attractive industry unless you've been born into it, bred into it, or seen a lot of it. To cross over from somewhere else, 30 years ago you pick up a chainsaw. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Now to cross over and sit in a machine for 12 or 14 hours, it's a different kettle of fish. So lots of challenges there.
So I guess just going back to that public perception one, how do you think as an industry, or what things can foresters do that could maybe improve that public perception? For instance, storytelling or...
Oh, listen, 100%. I've done quite a bit of it myself. I think every forester should get into their local school, whether it's primary school or more senior, and tell the story. There's lots of media out there. There's lots of people can support with videos and more information. And tell those kids, you know, what you're sitting on, probably, you know, a wooden floor. You've maybe got a wooden desk, the roof, the ceiling, the building, the cladding. Get that across and get that story across about how it's renewable. Get kids, if you can, out into the forest, right? Because I think, as I mentioned in some social media the other day, people like forests. And I think, honestly, I do think 90% of Joe Blogs likes a forest. They're not really caring whether it's broadleaves and looks fantastic. If they're in a forest, some thin Sitka spruce, some Scots pine, on their mountain bikes, walking the dogs, they love to be out in a forest. We've got to get that message across much more positively.
And what do you think? I mean, you're quite well known for sort of being quite innovative and sort of being involved in projects that are sort of pushing boundaries and sort of being involved in that sort of innovative side of the sector. What's exciting you? What have we got to look forward to in terms of innovations?
Yeah, well, I think at the moment nobody wants to hear about anything new. Pioneers get all the arrows in their back. That story goes back a long way. But we're a very innovative industry, always have been. Just look at the technology, new machinery, etc. But I think what we've got to look forward to is the challenge. Because we're a green industry, you know, we've got a couple of electric trucks out there. That kind of space is moving forward very, very quickly. It's a bit like the old Betamax versus VHS argument, or your first computer. Look where you are, your first mobile phone. 5 years later, it's much, much better. So the trucks that we put on, which James Jones have one, and the other one's working up north with Scotland, they have a range of 150 miles. Oh, hopeless, everyone says. Well, you could probably order a new Mercedes tomorrow, which will do 400 or 500 miles. In 2 years' time, there'll be battery improvements. Those trucks will be doing 700 miles. Yeah, they're expensive, but the price will come down. Price of electricity will come down. And I think we can integrate that more into the industry. We're going to see heavy plant machinery. It'll probably start with excavators. We can get them now. So we've got all that to look forward to. It's going to be another period of transition and some pain, but I think we've got the right, you know, foundations for some of that. Innovation never stops. I'm not massively into the restocking and replanting side, but again, I think innovations are going to come there with, you know, crop improvements and genetically improved trees, probably already there with a lot of that. So we've got a lot to look forward to, I think.
Do you think that we can use some of that innovation to maybe attract new entrants that you were talking about previously?
I think 100% so, and we maybe do see that in terms of graduate programs for forest management companies, using GIS mapping, using drone technology. It's all very, very exciting. So I think from a forest management perspective, yeah, it looks great, and that technology will 100% help. But there's no getting away that, you know, from the fact that sitting in a truck, no matter how fancy the truck is, sitting in a harvester like new H series here, you need to sit in that and you need to graft, and it's hard and it's lonely and it's up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not sure the PlayStation generation are really into that. They want to pull the levers, they get the tech, but forestry remains, you know, hard work. So you know, it's going to take a little bit more to attract people to that side of it, I think, Tom.
Yeah, I mean that's something that kind of concerns me. I'm sort of going a little bit off piece now, but I worry a little bit about sort of that generational change in expectations for work and where forestry has traditionally been in terms of the working day and how people work. And I just wonder maybe if you could give a little bit of your thoughts on, you know, do you think that that'll change in the future in terms of how we operate machines, the expectations we have on operators?
It'll have to change. It will really have to change. How we do that, I'm not too sure. The machines are much more comfortable to sit in, but they're also very complex to work on when they go wrong. As I said earlier, you've still got to get dirty hands. You've still got to do long hours. I think I'd love to see a survey done on how many second generation foresters and operators and drivers there are, because we do breed a lot of them back into this industry. You've got youngsters yourself, maybe they'll come into it as well. I have one who has. It is hard work, and I think a bit like agriculture, you've got to have that mindset. Now, I'm not saying that the younger generation don't want to work, but there are easier alternatives, and it's hard to attract them. What I will say is what attracted me into forestry, my family was more agricultural, But what attracted me, there's no getting away from it. Yeah, I love trees now, blah, blah, blah. What attracted me was money, Tom, right? Forestry was big money back in the late 80s.
Okay.
You were well paid for planting. You could make good money as a cutter. The guys that were running machines were high earners. Guys that drive timber trucks back then were higher earning than your standard truck driver. I think that still carries true today, but most people who are working hard do earn a reasonable salary out of it at the end of the year, but it's hard work. But we've got to maintain those rates. We've got to keep that gap up. If money does attract people, there's no doubt about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. Quite a frank insight, actually.
That's what it boils down to.
So just leave us then from a final remark, maybe on what you feel optimistic about for the future of forestry in the UK.
It's sometimes hard to be massively optimistic. We have so many challenges, not least, bureaucratically in terms of getting new planting through, and it's all about that perception as well. But, if we zoom out a little bit and look globally, timber is going to be in massive demand. It's going to double or treble by 2050. Look at the population in the world. There's still areas, this is an old one, I've pulled out a few times, there's still areas of Asia where they haven't seen soft tissue products, right? Well, once we start using that instead of grass, we're not going to go back, right? So there's still huge areas, the volumes of timber used. I think in the UK, last time I checked, for every person in the UK, we use about 3/4 of a ton of timber products,
right,
from paper to house building, everything, to your kitchen from IKEA or somewhere else. And as population grows, then simply we need more timber globally. As more people are introduced to timber products, we need more timber. We can grow it here. We've got an advantage over our Swedish and Baltic colleagues because we can grow it in 35, 40 years. And again, it's back to getting that message. We should be a thriving, driving, positive industry. Yeah. We're a green industry. So I think over the piece and, looking from outside a little bit, there is plenty to be positive about, and I would 100% recommend it as a career.
Thank you very much, Neil. That's brilliant.
All right.
Thank you very much for those insights. Yeah, excellent.
Good. All right, Tom.